Welcome back everyone. Today I'm just going to answer another question I got asked in an email from one of my subscribers, and the question was, he asked me my top 10, the top 10 things I take with me on my trips offshore. And I've had a bit of a think about this. Instead of doing what most people do and say, oh, here's my fishing gear and this is the top of lures and safety gear and all that, most of you know what gear you're taking, fishing gear you're taking, you know what sort of, and you should know what sort of safety gear you need. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm just going to show you a couple of different items I take. A lot of these items you guys already take, and some you probably don't. But this is what I do. This is my top 10, gear choices for my fishing trips offshore. And we'll start off with the basics. So, sun protection. Always got something for the sun. Seeing as I'm up here in the tropics, and it gets very hot and very hot and get very burnt, my big straw hat. I've got some sun gloves. I do wear sun gloves now, so the top of my hands getting burnt. My top of my hands get burnt a lot. And good old buff, long sleeve shirt, yada yada, sun protection. That's the first one. That's back to the basics. Okay. Second one I take, rain gear. I've got these are heavy duty poncho. I'm always taking poncho with me, so you just don't know when a storm's going to hit, rain's going to come out of the blue, or even if you're on a long trip and the weather comes away a bit and you get a lot of spray over your boat, or you're on an open tinny, open boat, putting a poncho on will save a lot of spray on you, save a lot of salt, and getting cold on long trips. Or like I said, if a storm comes out of the blue, which they quite often do offshore, just a bit of protection, keep yourself dry, keep yourself warm. Doesn't matter if you're down south or up here in the tropics, doesn't matter, take wet weather gear. Okay, so they're the two basics. Next one I take, absolutely every trip, is an absolute heap of drinking water. If something goes wrong out at sea, the main thing that's going to keep you alive is water. So guys, always take plenty of water for you and your crew, okay? That's an absolute must, is lots of water. And if you're down south, or it's a long cold night, I take a good old thermos of coffee, and usually take that with the water, depending if I'm going for an all-night trip or what I'm going to do. But water, absolutely. Coffee, depending how long, and if I was down south, I'd take it to warm up. Okay. Next one I take is good quality lights for the boat. As I do it a lot of nighttime fishing, and even when I'm not planning on going to the night, sometimes I go into the night, or I'm leaving at night time. I might get out to the spot before sunrise, whatever. Good quality light in the boat's always handy, saves running the battery down in the boat. So I've always got a good light to put on the deck, and a head torch. So there's another one. I've always got lights on board. Always. Okay, even to signal somebody at night time if you need to. Having a good quality light on board is a must. Now we'll get down to some basic ones again. I never leave home without my fish grips and pliers to get hooks out. I've always got fish grips and pliers on board. I've always got both. I do take good quality scissors with me, okay, for cutting lines and leaders, and just these things they make life of fishing very easy, a lot easier than using a knife. So I've got scissors, I've got my D-hookers and stuff. Always take a good knife and a good stone for killing fish, filleting fish, cleaning fish. And a good quality stone to keep a good edge, or a steel, but I prefer stones. The last couple here, guys, is something a little bit different than most guys don't take, but we'll get to that. The other thing that's absolutely on my boat, brag mat. Okay, I have always got a brag mat on board. Better be safe than sorry for legal sized fish. Even though I don't keep a lot of fish to eat, I've still got a brag mat to measure fish. And sometimes even if I'm releasing fish, I still want to know that, like I can guesstimate the weight, and it's nice to know the length. It's just, to check, to see how big it is. So next trip, you might want to try and get something bigger, push yourself, it's fun. Okay, these are a couple of, I know a lot of guys don't take, but for me they're an absolute must. The first one is, I've always got tools on board. I don't know where my shifter is, it's out in the shed somewhere. But little pliers and screwdrivers, flat blade, and I can't think, what's the cross one? Phillips head. Can't think. So a couple of screwdrivers, some pliers, and usually a little shifter and a couple of spanners that fits most of the nuts on the engine. Because sometimes if something goes wrong at sea, a lot of the times it's very basic, and usually you can fix it with a screwdriver and a shifter. And if it's more internal than that, well, you're going to need to be towed in. But it's always handy to have these on, especially if it's fuel or something. Your fuel bulb collapses, or you got something happens to the fuel hose, or it's just something basic. Because usually you can fix it with a shifter and a couple of screwdrivers. So I always have them on board, just in case. And if I can't fix it, well, I've got to be towed. But having some tools there does help, and it's just a good safety thing. And last but not least, guys, this is going to be something different. I know a lot of you guys don't have, but I like to fish in I like to fish fairly deep water. So I'm going to be running anywhere from 30 to 100 metres of water. And a lot of the fish, when you get them up quick and trying to beat sharks up or get them up, they're going to have barotrauma. And some guys, they don't care about it because they're just going to kill it and throw it in the esky. Well, I don't kill everything because I don't eat a lot of fish anymore. I do this more for sport. I let a lot of fish go. What I can't let go, it doesn't go to waste. I give it to friends and family, they can eat it. But if I can let it go, I will. And a lot of the time, I'll use one of these. It's a spike, okay? It's basically it's a little needle. It's not as small as I'd like. I bought this offline, and it does work, but it's a bit bigger than I'd like. But it has got a very thin little point. And with this, with barotrauma, if you go behind the petrol fin, like just a centimetre or so, a couple of centimetres behind the petrol fin, you can feel the lump there where the air bladder is. You can use things like this to just lift up a little scale and just little tiny nick, little tiny pinch into the side. Then you can run your finger along there, you can feel the air bladder, run your finger along when you take this out and you'll hear the air go out of the fish. That will surprisingly revive the fish, let them live. It'll take all the air out of the air bladder and they'll swim away, no barotrauma, if you plan on releasing fish. So I've got this, and I've also got actual little needles which I use a lot as well. But I'll be honest, they're out there somewhere. I didn't know where in a shed they were. I found this. So even though this is quite big, all I use is just a point, just like a little bit just on the end there. You probably can't see that, but it's very skinny, it's very sharp. It's just enough to pick, lift up a scale, little prick, run your finger along or push enough air out for that fish to survive. It'll swim back down, no worries. And I learned how to do that when I was live trout fishing. And believe me, the fish don't die, they really don't. We used to prick the trout all the time, put them in the tanks, they didn't die. And with this, as long as I just use a tip on it, it's fine. Or if you've got a needle, you can use like a little needle or something thin. Even if you've got like a little tiny toothpick, like a stainless steel or something toothpick, just a little prick in the side, and you can release fish with barotrauma, and they'll survive. So guys, that's my top 10. That's all I wanted to show you. Is just the top 10 things I take with me personally when I go fishing. Of course I've got all the safety gear, like I said, and all the fishing gear and stuff, but you know what safety gear you need, you know what fishing gear you're going to take. This is just the extras, but this is what I take. I'm not a huge fan of filling up the esky on food. I take a lot of water, sometimes a coffee, bits and pieces of fishing gear, measuring mats, safety gear like wet weather coats, sun protection for me, and lights just in case I'm out at night time. And of course, some trusty old tools. Don't use the tools, don't need the tools usually, but it's nice to know you've got a couple of tools there to help if you need to do some quick basic maintenance on the boat to get home. Anyway guys, that's it. I hope that gives you an idea on what you should take in your boat or should be in your boat all the time, and I'll see you again shortly in the next video.